one of the most famous fighters of his generation, fighting in one of the famous stadiums in the world. Can you imagine being AJ right now? A lot of pressure too, though. Don't get it twisted. You've got to perform in front of 96,000 of your closest friends.
But mamma mia, Rosie, a social media sensation turned boxer, has turned the sport on its ear. This is incredible. And what must be going through this 27-year-old mind, like so many members of his generation, dealing with mental health issues? Here we go!
Boxing professionals are very divided on the Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua fight, because he is big, strong, and has fought other top heavyweights before. Most experts think Joshua will win. He has a huge edge because he has been to the Olympics and been knocked out before. Jake Paul is getting better. He has beaten MMA fighters and unknown boxers, but he has never fought a real world-class heavyweight. Analysts think Paul's only chance is to throw a surprise punch early on, but Joshua's focus and jab would win the fight. A lot of people think Joshua will win easily and stop the fight in a few rounds, even though it would be fun to watch. Most experts think Joshua will easily win.
It's an Akisa, a few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close, or there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year. Of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was aware of the plan and part of that plan as well. But at the moment, there's nothing major to report on that. Would we take the fight? Absolutely. I think Jake would be. I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, because AJ would mess around in there, so it would be huge, but nothing to tell you it's close. Just
Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua will take place on December 19, 2025 at the Casa Center in Miami. The fight will be shown all over the world on Netflix. This isn't an art show. It's a real professional heavyweight fight that follows Queensberry rules, which means there are 8 rounds of 3 minutes each and 10 rings. In order to keep things fair, Joshua has agreed to a weight cap of 245 pounds, which is very low for him. This is a very important fight because both athletes are putting their records on the line. There is no doubt that knockouts and a clear winner are possible.
It's really happening. Jake Paul will face the 2-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an 8-round fight with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. It's Joshua's first fight since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September last year. Jake Paul won a unanimous decision against veteran Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. earlier this year. Well, Jake Paul said this: a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted. To the people of the United Kingdom,
Boxing professionals and fans have strong feelings about Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua. A lot of people think Paul's goal to meet an experienced heavyweight like Joshua is too big and unrealistic.
That's right, the real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, "At Jake Paul is the truth." Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind, you're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that...
Anthony Joshua could hurt his image if he agrees to fight Jake Paul, says Dave Allen. He says that if Paul even makes a good shot, it could ruin everything Joshua has worked hard for in his career. Allen thinks that a fight like that would be more for fun than for sport, and he doesn't think Joshua would really want to take that chance. He says that a lot of serious boxing fans would see the fight as a step down, and that Joshua would lose some respect in the boxing community if he agreed to fight Paul, who used to be a YouTuber and is now boxer.
Lost to Tommy Fury. You can't. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him. I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights of the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect from when he fought Ngannou? Did you lose respect from Fury when he fought Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion of mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid? I don't like it. I hope it.
Since the fight is likely to be recognized as a real fight and not just a demonstration, Roy Jones Jr. has spoken out against the idea that Jake Paul could become a real world champion, saying that he doesn't think Paul can win a real title. Jones says that Paul has mostly dodged really tough opponents, and if Paul goes up against high-level, experienced boxers, Jones thinks those fighters would beat him. Jones Jr. says that Paul might get a shot at the title in the future, but that it will only happen under very good conditions. He still doesn't think Paul has a good chance of winning a real title.
Jake Paul will become a world champion? No. Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has a mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of even.
Eddie Hearn, who promotes Anthony Joshua, has said that Jake Paul is not a good boxer and called him an average fighter. Hearn has said over and over that he doesn't think Paul is ready to fight at the top level, especially against Anthony Joshua. He says that even though Paul has gotten better over time, he is still not good enough to fight top heavyweights.
Paul good for the sport of boxing?
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart. Okay. We have our ups and downs.
Yeah.
I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking, am I mic'd up?
Eddie Hearn also said that Jake Paul has said crazy things, like that he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Hearn thinks Paul is way too confident in his skills and thinks this claim is crazy. Many experts think Paul would be crazy to take on world-class fighters like Canelo or Joshua, even though he has beat past MMA fighters and less experienced boxers.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury and Ngannou was when it came around, or, you know, yeah, or Mayweather McGregor.
Simon Jordan, who used to own Crystal Palace and is now a well-known boxing commentator, has given Jake Paul a harsh warning about his plan to fight Anthony Joshua. Jordan says the fight isn't fair because Paul isn't good enough or legitimate enough to be matched up with a heavyweight legend like Joshua. He thinks this fight hurts the sport of boxing and says everything that's wrong with it. That's what Jordan said. Paul would lose that fight. It's not only risky for Paul, but it also brings down Joshua's reputation by turning an important match into a show.
Talking about welfare, player welfare, and here's a situation where someone's welfare should be considered in the equation, not his financial welfare, but Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul, if this is not going to be, curated into a little dance around exhibition, could find himself in a way of getting seriously hurt here, like Francis Ngannou did. Francis Ngannou was an MMA fighter that got blasted out by Anthony Joshua. A fitter, more focused Anthony Joshua than the version we've got now, possibly. But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. From the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. But if he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta raging bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become. And what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it. Of course. And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished.
David Benavidez agreed that Jake Paul is one of the biggest names in boxing when it comes to getting people interested in fights. Many boxing purists don't like Paul's skills, but Benavidez thinks that his role in the sport brings him fun and money.
I'm Patricia DeWong, and I'm here with David Benavidez. What are you looking forward to the most tonight at Bare Knuckle?
Honestly, it's my first time being at a Bare Knuckle fight, and it's already starting amazing. And I'm just here to come to see the gore, the blood, and all that. So it's been living up to the hype.
I want to ask you about Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good fight. If they can make it happen, then let's do it. You know what I mean? Jake Paul is a big household name. Anthony Joshua, needless to say, he's one of the greatest champions in boxing. So if they can get it done, that'll be a huge fight for boxing, and I said let's do it.
You were in the talks to fight Bivol. What are your thoughts on that? Is it in the works? So when is it happening?
So right now we're trying to negotiate the fight. It might be in the works September, but we don't know. You know, everything in boxing is not 100%, so we're just going to keep trying to negotiate the fight, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but that's the one.
Heavyweight boxing veteran Derek Chisora has strongly opposed Jake Paul getting a WBC ranking, calling it an insult to the sport. Chisora said that real athletes work hard to move up the rankings, but Paul would jump ahead of unranked or pass their prime opponents just because he was famous, not because he was better. He said that WBC head Mauricio Sulaiman was selling his reputation for money, and that was bad for boxing. That's not fair. Chisora stressed that rankings should be won in the ring and not given out just for clicks or publicity.
BC have said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
No, I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers to get those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Sousa decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No, that is.
The boxer Lawrence Okolie is very worried about Jake Paul's possible fight with Anthony Joshua, saying that it could be very dangerous. Okolie sparred with Paul before and praised his hard work and attitude, but he now thinks that Paul would be badly matched against AJ, who is very strong and has great skill. A lot of professional boxers feel the same way. Ade Hearn said it was very dangerous. Frank Warren said it was a given because Joshua was bigger and stronger. And former world champion Amir Khan agreed, telling Paul that he could die in the ring with Joshua.
You on this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake Paul, it doesn't sit right. Yeah, and it's like, I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight. Yeah. I think Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it personally.
Carl Froch, a former world champion boxer, doesn't think much of Jake Paul as a fighter. Froch says Paul just jumps around the ring and doesn't know how to box. Froch watched Paul's fight against Tommy Fury and said it was a clear mismatch and that Paul is not even close to being a real contender.
You take Jake Paul that serious, he can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, he stands up straight and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like you put him in with someone his own size. It was a professional. It's a mismatch, and you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him. He's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different.
Another MMA fighter, Darren Till, spoke out about the issue. He said that Jake Paul's decision to not call out Anthony Joshua was rude. He thinks Paul hasn't earned the right to fight one of boxing's biggest names, even though he is good at marketing. A lot of boxers agree with Till that Paul is too far out of his league. Joshua has been called to a fight by Jake Paul, who has also said that Joshua is not skilled and does not have a chin. Many boxing fans and experts are angry about this comment because Joshua has had a great career, winning multiple championships and going up against top fighters like Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Usyk. Many people think Paul is just trying to get notice by being rude to an experienced professional. To fight between Anthony Joshua and Anthony Joshua hurts the reputation of boxing a lot. He thinks it's part of a larger trend of crossover or star fights that aren't really fights and make the sport more like entertainment than a real sport. He said that punishing big money mismatches with social media stars takes away from the spirit and purity of boxing. Instead of testing the skills of top boxers, these shows put style over skill, which could hurt boxing's reputation and the respect it has among serious fans in the long run. Tayton and Jake Paul should be knocked out. I mean, I know there's money in it, but does fighting end up getting worse? Actually, I believe that boxing does suffer damage all over the place. I believe that some of the groups that oversee boxing don't have a good reputation, so I believe that it does suffer damage even if it's just a practice fight, which it very well could be. Okay, so what's the danger in that? Jake Paul will lose badly if it's just a practice fight, which it shouldn't be if it's real fight. Are you okay with Jake Paul going up against Joshua? A smart move or a big risk?